We're perhaps on, we're perhaps not on. We shall see. Hopefully this is recording. All right, we have a theme song. Check this out. This is pretty amazing. This is pretty cool. I'm Rich Millett. Hopefully this is working. Never quite know. Had some problems last time. So anyway, it's the quarantine stream. This is the third one. So like I said, we had a bunch of problems last time. Hopefully we won't have any problems this time. That'd be really good. I did something unprecedented. I actually made notes, so we'll see if see how that works. So yeah, we will get started. I was debating what I wanted to start with, but I think I have a pretty good idea. So yeah, this is two pieces run together. This is The New Nature and Invisible Synthesizer. You know what? Do that for now. We know what we've seen. So much more water falling from the sky, making miniature lakes out of puddles and forming little rivers and gutters. New homes being built where the mudslides ran, down the hills quenching the forest fires. So many new islands and bays for animals to gather together, standing on one hoof. New games being played as new trees emerge in marshes and parks form over landing strips. We know what we think about it. Never desecrate the body, never poison the water supply, never bathe in insecticide. See and think. Never barter for bacteria, never throw poison down the well, never desecrate the body. In a glass sink, the water can start to build its own walls and divide its own chromosomes. In a glass shower, the nozzle calcifies the water and organizes the deposits into clear lines. On a glass floor, spilled water pulls away from itself, towards the corners, towards the door. On a glass ceiling, the water can reform into pointillist droplet paintings. We know what we see, and we know what we think. The plane lands by the grace of the titanium hand. A fog of whispers dissolves over a stack of prayer stones. A stiffened spine, completely covered in sea foam, closet full of striped clothes, coated in cast iron. The titanium hand has no stains or scars. The titanium hand instantly uprooting thunder from clouds. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags. Endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. The plane ascends by the grace of the titanium hand. The grid is powered by the grace of the titanium hand. Vertical waves powering on an offline equator. Vertical waves swirling inside color-coded numbers. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags. Endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. Twitching fingers and tapping feet remain untamed. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags. Endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. Vertical waves powering on an offline equator. Vertical waves coiled around the axis. Running is a blessing, is refreshment, is restoration. Restoration is the key moment of demonstration. The harvest, the bounty of the harvest, reaping the bounty into plastic bags. Endless handfuls of beautiful blueberries pressing against plastic bags. The titanium hand gives me the years to rest. Gives me all of these years to rest. All right. You know what? Where is it? Here we go. So this one I'm gonna read actually quotes Van Ark himself. Something he said once. I think he was imitating what's his name? The bass player, the Jehovah's Witness, Larry Graham. This is called White Cello. Van does a really amazing Larry Graham. If you've never seen it, you should ask him to do it. If he takes requests, I don't know, but it's extremely entertaining. My favorite Van line as Larry Graham was he was allegedly quoting scripture, and somebody goes, "Well, that's not in the Bible," and he goes, "What I say is like the Bible." This is called White Cello. Talk to me. I'm in the open window. I'm not in time, but I've got your watch, and I need to learn to play this white cello. Scratch the surface. I'm on the shore with a can of sugar. It's never bitter. I'd really rather be playing, though. I like the white strings and the white bow. That's not her. That's her, was the simplest thing you could say. I'm still, and I'm still reeling with no moments except now. You don't possess any microscopes, so I will take the telescope. I'm trying to be angelic, which isn't easy after getting desensitized with disappointments every night, eating fresh vegetables, but planning, you already know, and then you try and talk me out of it. You don't have a pistol in your waistcoat. Your teeth aren't flecked with flax seeds. My misjudgments are my own, and most are unknown. And just because I'm a pacifist doesn't mean anyone can abuse me. And speaking of myself, notice me. I'm standing next to the tree where the guy crashed the stolen car, and then got out and ran for it. But I can behave for over 100 days, and I've squandered my efforts and so much goodwill that I sometimes still need to convince myself that I should try to take lessons to play at all. But I'm sure you want me to, and I know what I can do. And with that, we're not missing anything. We're humming songs through the phone. We're midnight movers. No, we're not. And don't be the guy on the bike in the right lane racing for his life against rush hour traffic in the morning. I know you are, and you know that I care. And I feel like I'm Clark Kent dressed in primary colors, and I just haven't taken off my glasses yet. She said, as long as it's not evil, and I cannot be evil, at least not right now. But it's the rising sun. It's a hard-boiled egg. It's basil. It's a blue charm. I just want to play the white cello. I just want to sit in a circle and think about it some more. Are you going to wrap this up? You're just testing people's patience now. No, 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 no. I'm thinking out loud. It's a warm communication going on here. Oh, God. See, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to change some channels. Quarters, nickels, and all sunbathers must be wearing a blue suit. It'll be like a reverse safari where they put lions, cheetahs, and tigers in a truck and drive them around to show them people shopping and walking down the street or pumping gas. It'll be the apex of manifestation. Or it'll be the suburban safari where some guy named Greg gives you a little pith helmet and plastic binoculars, and you wait under his kitchen table for the cat to use the litter box. But why does it gotta be white? I never heard from you before. Advertising space available. Clear, clear water. And, of course, tastiest tomatoes. Guys having fun out there? Huh? Hopefully this is working. Hopefully. I'm gonna have some water. Amuse yourselves. Oh, here, I got you. I can provide some water drinking music for you. This will be good. We're learning to get really slick here, you know. So here. That's the house band. I guess we'll call them tonight Asexual Vanilla. All right. So one of the things I wanted to do, Van is kind enough to not have a time limit. on me, so I can go as long or as brief as I want to. So, and this one is very long. It's from 2012. It's from a book I did called um, "Your Future, Your Freedom," and it's one of my personal favorites. And this is kind of the magnum opus of that one. I've never read it before, so uh, so yeah. Hopefully, it'll go well. This is called "Songs Without Music." Saul, standing outside of the Burger King, watching you at age 5, sleeping on the floor, your parents dismayed because you wouldn't get up and play and run around instead of the beginning, you were an infant screaming. I remember you repeating yourself at age 7, watching Jacob play video games and watching your grandfather import coffee and bananas, watching your cousin spit raw churned turd snuff into the Royal Crown Cola cans with tiny flecks of carrot stuck between his teeth, whistling a song but forgotten, filing porn under his jacket at the tackle and bait shop. The slight sigh of your mother as her stomach was pressed upon the leaves of the trees, pointing, "You are wrong." So I coughed, and I took some books from Jacob, and took Meredith's old records with a giant eraser, and got rid of Peter and Paul, straight off the cover. Mother Mary all alone, with no route home and a husband who doesn't vote, but made his voice count stealing election signs from his neighbor's lawns of Dawns, the long-ago retired janitor of Constancy, the surgeon's custodian. There should have been a passing lane, an oasis for souls with drained desires, and where disconnected relations can sit at empty tables and wait for service. You stared at the chickens needing feed. Joan ignored his chores, and you refused to converse with the mailman, interlocking circles of uninspired activity. The robotic enjoyment, the scent of the mold wafting across the staircase, you called it a quarter. It was in fact a hubcap, a clean confession, lying, shining on the unpaved. I could say it turned to crystal. Jacob naturally would, but you would only laugh. Rannon and Boaz would. When you pose for a picture, don't remember to smile. Pax, Hyman. Saul. Sometimes when I write to you, I'm not sure how much it's safe to say, and I wish I could explain why I need you to understand the time from which I came, and I know you don't relate, and my setting the stage like an alligator migraine while I've waited for the California girl, for George to finally answer his phone with a snide, meaningless rhyme of a line. The rest is just depressing, and how the girl in her mother's house in Riverside wanted to commit suicide, and I wanted a detailed confessional all on film first. As you can see, there's nothing here for you to read. Pax. Hyman. Saul. So far, this has been a pretty one-sided conversation, and for that I apologize. With you, with the morning sun will come, your time to talk and sweep the sand off the tiled floor, whilst the rush-hour trains run overhead, and you pause to reflect on its scheduled splendor. But no matter how long the giraffe's neck is, no matter how many feathers flock together on the guest list, no matter how articulate I am, what I can't ever convey to you is that you haven't experienced the patterns yet, and what comes next after context evaporates and leaves an ashy white film over your elbows, arms, and chin, what you do the day after your alert-eyed, shaking-shoulder sincerity turns into memories, you can't properly recall, not because they've been disproved or jettisoned, not because you've forgotten the power of them, but out of overuse and inability to transfer the arrival time at the next station. And I say this not to damn your chances, nor discourage your efforts. And I wish my thoughts on this could swim like silverfish on a window slicked with mercury, but what I know you've never been told is that the measurement isn't ever based in the wind blowing around two opposite targets, in east and west opposites, that you made your myth with an endless adolescence, that you don't see the line you can slip behind and get deceived into thinking that you've already tripped, and it's time to recover quick. No, you've still got several years left to go, and the energy is waving and clear, and I may make up my mind about you this time, but neither I nor your godfather lied when we said it's not a trick, and it's not passing from dreams, nor a passing secret. You should spread your fingers when you're told it isn't magic. The world, the world, the world. Life on this planet. Sometimes I get so distanced when I'm racing against myself, screaming from scene to scene, a stranger who's numb to the touch, see the back of his head in front of me. My life. I fear the enemy from the mist and the enemy within, the wealth of the ego, what I might invoke at my most careless, after I've abandoned rest. So I sit up all night and wait, concentrate, and consider the possibilities until the conversation between my stomach and spine has run silent and solid. Certain that I can see consequence and evidence, give praise, feel my eyelids tick, and ask for forgiveness. And I must be honest, at the end of all of this, I have a laugh at the idea of spending my life in a prostrated state of being endlessly apologetic because I've seen too many people for whom hand-wringing humility is the height of arrogance, and to be joyless, to never wink or blush, is to give a convincing performance. Pacts, Paul. She had no idea who we were, but she waited anyway for us to gather by her side. The night my grandmother died, I waited for my family to leave the room. Then I opened her eyes to see if she'd give me a sign. She used to blink at me when she'd say something that wasn't right. We'd laugh across her line of sight. Now her pupils don't meet mine. Her forehead ignored my fingers. Her jaw was tight. I walked across the floor of my house until I forgot about time, with the blinds open, studying the sky. I waited and wanted her ghost to arrive, but I heard someone murmur, "She has nothing left to show," and it made me realize that she dissipated into the air a long time ago, and even if it were possible, why would her spirit appear here? Oh, God, enough. My father looked right at me and said he was filled with fear that there was nothing. I said, "Don't be blank." When I was where you were, I heard our relative's voice plainly tell me that I had a choice. Bright, white. I was slightly below myself, double exposed, the cold rag water. Without the reaching heat, I would have froze. It's ringing. It's ringing really loud. Last night, never forget, the future is just an abstract concept, and the here is gone before it is the now. Eventually it will stop, and you'll either face up or you will not. No one speaks in the summer. What makes you so afraid of snakes and lizards? They're all God's creatures. They're just crawling in the dust, wishing they could float above the grit, search out a little desert steak, relax, and enjoy the cool rocks against their scales and the splash of wind on their tails. No one speaks in the summer, but I'm never lonely or bored, because sometimes I'm on my own. Sister or brother slip out the side, waiting to materialize, and I'm passive when it rains, because I know it's been too humid. And I can't change what I'm feeling, because I never know what I'm seeing. No matter how hard I try, I can't ever blink. Every hour, I can't measure what I take. I can't make myself faint. I'm a canvas always shedding paint. 3 people in 3 days. As soon as it began, everyone has gone for the weekend, the vanishing hour to hour, with no thoughts how to think straight. They were both resigned to watching the stupid movie, and by 20 minutes in, I was desperate to dream. I stayed weakly awake instead. Laying on the floor of the guest house, looking through the glass ceiling, everyone I know is asleep right now. And I know he meant it literally, but somehow, with dawn creeping through, its implications were waterlogged and eerie, like why to go to bed when we're just improvising the script. And none of this is true. But before I could suggest something sensible like, let's go get something to eat, maybe change into some clean clothes, I was thinking out loud, I don't have love, I am love. What, is that even true? I nearly had the love starved out of me. You've got more than most. How old was Jesus when he died? 32. Is that right? It doesn't seem right. The shadows in the otherwise flash-dark room rotated pink, red, orange, blue. I want something different for you. Like what? I'm not sure. Just not wandering that empty Western movie set forever. You got a plan? No, but I got some money. Here, you know what? Here, take this key. Right now. You're serious? Yes. I think we should call her. Oh, fuck. I think I have it sussed. What? Fucking hell. Where are my friends' phone numbers written down? I understand now. Understand what? Oh my God, come on, seriously, before everyone else is up. God, enough. He put the book down. He didn't keep his place, started pacing around his apartment. The colored lights were all that beat back the stark black. No one speaks in the summer, but why is it now so cold? I didn't care what I was told, so I found myself singing along with songs a decade and a half old, could have been a lifetime ago. He showed up playing a strident saxophone, and I said, "No, no, no, give me two clarinets with an oboe." We were open. We were able. If there was no crime, then we're not criminals. We're a field of echoes, growing for the earth angel. No one speaks in the summer. All the secrets I've stolen, I've kept to myself. The rain fell fast in quick, loud bursts that would vanish. He'd been distracted for hours. The longer he avoided sleep, the more he was annoyed and perplexed. The rain sounds fake. If it were a movie, it would be a lame special effect. He woke up the next morning, forced himself to go to work, called her when he got to his desk. Said she had to see him, no excuse. She was the only one he could trust. He scared the hell out of her at lunch, speaking in breathless gulps, cold sweat coating his wet lips, swinging his arms to point at the ghosts in the corner. But it was just the waiter wanting to refill the water. She said she tried desperately to change the subject, and said she'd just read The Help. But he was an unchained dog, and in the parking garage he touched her for the first time and said, "Thanks for listening to me, but none of this was me. All of it belonged to someone else." She begged off, but before the end of the day, wanted to make sure he was still okay. He wrote back that everything was fine, thanks, and that he'd had a good time. No one speaks in the summer. You don't have any interests. You're going to go shallow because you don't have any interests. No one speaks in the summer. Demi finished the last exam of her semester, stopped by her mom's job to find out her new shift hours, said hi to her boyfriend, and reminded him to pick her up from his parents' place later, in the glove compartment where the glass beads her mother had bought back in '72 when she went to the London School of Economics, and she was fond of pointing out just a few years after Mick Jagger. No one speaks in the summer. She was feeling incredibly lazy as she read an email from a guy she half remembered. He was always complimentary, but everything he said was out of order. She wrote back something quick and noncommittal with a minute mix of enthusiasm. That will pacify him. She passed the afternoon playing with her cats, then rolled over and took a nap. Her boyfriend texted her that he'd be bringing dinner back. A certain psychological tendency. Jim was in the editing room. Not only had he not laughed in weeks, he was now becoming contemptuous of his colleagues who smiled constantly, immediately embraced strangers, and acted as if life was a party piece designed solely for their amusement. Jim looked down at the floor. It was littered with random strips of celluloid, unhinged reels, and empty canisters. He never doubted the story he wanted to tell, but now his mind pulsed with endless ideas for framing devices, the rhythms of the third act. Should there even be a third act, obfuscation techniques, rewriting, redubbing the dialogue, and where to place the music. In a fit of frustration, Jim had chosen a key moment in the film, and with a safety pin carved across several frames, I never had prose ambitions. He was careful not to write any of the letters backwards. He wanted this to be seen, even if it was only subliminally. He had been in the small white room seemingly forever. He wanted a sound night of sleep. He wanted a meal of more than bad Mexican food or McDonald's or a hot dog from Pink's. But until all of this work was done, he knew that in good conscience he would never leave. I never had prose ambitions. I made the movie about a moth. It's called 50 Days, though part of me thinks that's quite obvious. The opening is about a group of people wandering the hills. All I wanted was to set the scene, to capture this windswept flamenco red splotch orange pink autumnal opulence. The rest of the movie is close-ups of the moth and the flame, but the moth is in no way attracted to the flame. All the moth wants to do is study it, see if the flame melts vinyl, see if the burnt skin is final. Then it ends with a small group chant, a small prayer, and they go, "If I were to meditate only on my name is when I would finally go insane." And they clap and ring bells and laugh, and a couple of guys pretend to have sword fights with the candles. What medium? Could have been spray paint. I just don't want it to get lost. I want to make it short enough for people to memorize. I never had prose ambitions. I just saw these fragments going by like 100 per second, or 15 and 45 minutes, and I realized that's the experience. I was going to be real freaky and say something like "one morning after the 1990s," but I thought that might put people uptight. Listen, one gray dawn as rain and mist pelted the cobblestone. I climbed the fence, walked along the beach, and in disbelief I finally got my wish. I was finally walking towards myself. My brother, even better, my twin. We talked for a moment, shared a laugh, corrected a few memories, but he was taller, slimmer fingers, whiter teeth, and was left-handed. And I knew he wasn't me. So I started walking away and made up a melody. I opened my mouth to sing. I was born to roam alone. Yes, it's all true. That's what happened when I was 16. You wear a crown of flowers in a field of trees in Southern California, singing in Spanish, running along the Valencia oranges, but I can see you're really an apple in an eggshell frock with a laugh that I could sail over a sequoia. Garden of paradise, sparrow flying in your mind, the hand of the past is touching. You emerge from the bath filled with milk and lilac, pale blue light is flowing. My whole life I've been writing songs without music, and there's no mystery without a clue, except that it's all true, and you can sing along if you can hear the tunes. And the time that I am breathing, we are looking for new life in the big world. Spent a mile with an open mouth, looking at the lantern for a route. Everything is in and everything is out, and we were looking for new life in the big world. The fruit got spoiled when it was protected, but the seeds got resurrected. The wheel turned around, and we had electric spasms. We walked in, and then we walked out, looking for new life in the big world. We gathered around the piano and listened to the sound of the notes soar and the chords pound, and we laughed and cried and sang at the sun and everyone. We were looking for new life in the big world. We remembered the formations, but traveled through the stations, sometimes for excavation, but mostly we were looking for new life in the big world. I told you it was long. All right. I will read. I will read a short one followed by a long one. This is. Let's see. There we go. Pardon me. There. Better shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Too many loops. You better shut your mouth. In the dining room, burning shoes. Shut your mouth. You don't need a notebook. Shut your mouth. All right. Now we're going to do another really long one. Because that's... Oh, you know what? Actually, fuck that. We're going to break this up with a couple short ones. I had actually sort of made lists of potential things to read. So... read a couple new ones from the most recent book. So this is called what the fuck did I call this? Yeah, yes. This is Canary Milk, and we'll go straight into Two Franciscan Nuns. Quiet, you. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll on the ground and wonder when they can be farmers in glass pods on Mars, while Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a worn, well-folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams deleted scenes from past dreams. I read that wrong. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams deleted scenes from their past. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heatwave. Remember when that was a problem? Instead, marveling about the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to keep the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh. While Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. And this is two Franciscan nuns. Chewing mint leaves while crossing the Calumet River, the paper's mill's exhaust pipes interrupt the vista. Mules weighted with surge protectors, hairspray, and cassettes, a riverboat of morphine-addicted ghosts on the left. Two Franciscan nuns wanted to build a hospital, but settled for organizing games of chance in their hotel rooms. They squeeze out extra acidic orange juice and excommunicate people with unpleasant names from the phone book. Two Franciscan nuns helped decorate an admiral in the pensioner's home after he'd misplaced his uniform. They blessed his pills, kissed his parakeet, and as he slept, gathered sets of his false teeth to sell at the swap meet. But here's the key. A brain with blood and oxygen is better than a fish who talks. What some people see as skin discoloration is in fact the natural pigmentation when viewed from inside. Some newspapermen have always known this, and indeed they have nothing to hide. And I'm just going to keep going with this one because it's really working for me. I quite like this book, so we'll just go with that. All right. I think I told this story before, but I'll repeat it again. You guys don't mind if I repeat myself, right? So this is I have a friend who's really lovely. They happen to have a narcotics habit. Oh, the cat's coming down. Anyway, they have a heroin addict and they're vegan. And I guess they were having connection problems. And one day actually put up a Facebook message saying is that the heroin where they live was cut with lactose. And they asked if it was possible to obtain cruelty-free heroin. And I said to my friend, you know, from the poppy fields to your spoon, there's probably a good chance that there will be some cruelty involved. Thus, this is called cruelty-free heroin. Oh, and here's the cat. I'll read this with her here. We'll see how long she lasts. When the Guardian goes mad, the sun rains against their eardrums, indistinguishable from Morse code tapping on a copper plate. Yes, when the Guardian has gone mad, they're found singing love songs to tanks, draping staircases and flags, breaking car windows to decorate their face with the glass. When the Guardian goes mad, they're captured pushing a pickaxe into an LED screen and detained for threatening to throw snakes at gas station attendants. When the Guardian goes mad, people suddenly remember to turn on AM radio and patiently follow guidelines before filing a full report. Though there are always doubters and passers-by who start conspiracies, the usual being that this was a planned distraction. If the Guardian goes mad, they'll arrive at every awards ceremony with a mirror in hand and a ribbon under their chin and make demands to review the voting process when they don't win. If the Guardian goes mad, they'll rue the day they lost control of their relationships, spending weeks hiring staff to bury paperwork they'll insist doesn't exist. If the Guardian goes mad, all of their meals shall consist of orange peels pulled from chain-link fences and burned coffee flavored with molded peach preserves. Though there are always doubters ready to offer an opinion of unverifiable proof, summarizing that death and maps are the only real measures of impact, and can you imagine being that fucking sick? If the Guardian cracks up, they'll spend bleak days envisioning trees committing suicide, grandmothers doing crystal meth for the first time, and gnats smeared into toothpaste. If the Guardian cracks up, 7 strangers stuck in a bank will claw at each other to seek cold air on the vault and wait for their families and firemen to arrive and dig them out. If the Guardian cracks up, pirates will walk their own planks and devour themselves once they hit water, thrashing back at their gnashing teeth, running the seas red until hunter and prey are one. Ignorance, arrogance. The pest control man said unto me, when I was in Japan, I bought cherry bread in a can. I opened it with a knife and slid off the wrapper. The air bubbles stayed floating in my mouth. And then I rolled them around until I returned back to the West. Bliss, tolerance. The pest control man said unto me, sometimes my apartment building turns into a vending machine and I get deposited into the evening to provide goods and services for lucky couples with good taste and a few wandering dollars to rub together. I'm going to do one from Tracing the Dim Signal that I've never read. And odd that I haven't, because I'm quite fond of both this poem and that book. So I just have to get to the right damn thing here. I made out a list of potential titles for this tonight, and I thought, oh, well, I have a decent amount of material, and I counted it, and I had 39 fucking pieces written down, and I was like, I'm not going to read that much. It's already 4:42, my goodness. That's what happens when you read like a 25-minute poem. Actually, I'm going to do 2 from Tracing the Dim Signal. It's called Newly Forming Land. This book is from 2003. I actually wrote this poem in 1997. I was supposed to be in some sort of science class. And the only reason I was in this science class is because I had a crush on some girl. And she immediately hooked up with somebody. And before I ever got a chance to talk to her. I've seen the newly forming land, the beginning of the plan, the greatness of the expanse, the brand new day where nothing will be forced away. I've seen the angle of the road. I've seen the angle of the road. The expectation unfolds. The newborn day will be coming, and the space will sweep us away. And this is dedicated to one of the greatest singers and songwriters and performers that has ever lived, in my opinion. Unheralded by some people, but her work will outlast them all. She's a giant. Her name, and so this is about dedicated to the one and only Mira Yamtov Zetlin. And by the way, if you have never heard of her, go listen to her album called Advisory Committee. It's one of the greatest albums ever made and never fails to move me very deeply. Last night we saw an angel, the most beautiful woman alive. I've never seen anyone more graceful. She conducted every word in flight. Last night we saw an angel. She tiptoed across our hum. She exercised her will. She made the light move faster from the sun. Last night we saw an angel, the most beautiful woman alive. She stopped the pageant and calmed the lightning in the sky. Oh, hey. This is called Life Isn't Hard, and I wrote this in 2005. And some people would say that it's or try to presuppose what it's about, though they might not necessarily get it right. I know what it's about. The hour ends, the light bends down into bluish brown. This man can program situations from his fingertips into any town. Inch by inch, the ground grows thin. The twin and his brother begin to cause alarm. The taxi quits, the street spits the cement in the air. The rider grows quieter, seeing the broken glass hang from her hair. Inch by inch, the ground grows thin. The bankers begin signing citations for fraud. Congratulations around the table. Plans are made to auction any residual minerals. The phone rings. The professor brings flowers to the cement. The student laughs, burns charts and graphs to everyone's amusement. Inch by inch, the ground grows thin. The anchormen begin questioning the cause. I've got Earth in a fingertip, the speed of rotation. Did you see the loss of gravity in the city? People's umbrellas and sunglasses floating around. The water was flowing down State Street. People were swimming over the ground. Did you see the cops throw off their badges, then dismantle their guns? They got on top of their squad cars, on their knees, worshiping the sun. I got Earth in a fingertip. Fire and holes surround the parched, silent fields of brown, and soon they will be flaming out and leave a puff of smoke. Merry cries under autumn skies sink the isolated dream and its distanced blurring view. Nora wrote about a vanished boat that tried to dock off the Irish coast and sailed in between mists and was never seen again. Replacement folks in their town, the clocks are all tightly wound, and people can't decide if it's illusion or if it's true. But I know there is less of me and almost nothing left of you. The frenzy took over. The reverie increased elucidation. The foundation was accumulated. All right, now we're going to read the other long one. I had this terrible idea of reading two incredibly long pieces today. So this is the other one. And this is dedicated to I want to get this right. Let's see if I can get this right. This is dedicated to well, a lot of these people are real people that I talk about in here. Some aren't, but most are. So this is dedicated to Morella. It's dedicated to Alex. This is dedicated to Roxy, and any number of other people whose names I can't remember. It's called No More Burlesque. Extraction. Thin metal claws and clips like feelers, or a hair slice down the middle, and carefully pulled off a list. Discipline, resist. The reading poison of thoughts extemporized and swept from a dingy mind. The mind articulated in plagiarists' terms, quote, my grandfather is sick, unquote, and guilt projected onto a thrusted hand, silently implying a demand of satisfaction. And the water in the pipes runs dry rust, and the oil in the planes siphoned and given to the next contributor, prevented by disintegrating mortar. The wall was raised, the field free for plowing. An entry for an enfant terrible, a minuscule crack in the porcelain, a micropoint pried open with a petulant eye roll appealing to youth fetishists and the prematurely decaying while wearing a prostitution ring, a scarlet A seen by anyone who can decipher semaphore flags, making tenuous connections, creating dubious self-advertisements, a popular indie label, a writer from Vice, a music video stealing your image after you've stolen your image from an anonymous army of American apparel models and a sub-Wes Anderson vision of a sub-Anna Karenina. Now I'll be a star forever. Margot, don't go to Olympia, or Lacey, or Renton, Anacourt, Tacoma, or Bellingham. You will be wholly inessential. You'll taint the water supply, pollute the soil. You'll delete the telepathy, end all conversations, erase all electricity, cease all levity, make joy obsolete, the sum total with your floating, dead-eyed anime mask face, an omnipresent reminder of the rotting apple making no fun for everyone. Margot, don't go to Olympia, because you need to learn the life lesson that no matter if it's London, Brisbane, Tokyo, Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago, or Reno, your luggage will always keep arriving before you do. But I suppose we all know, Margot, that life's lessons aren't easily applicable when you can be the singer that doesn't sing, the intellectual refusing to think, the Marxist obsessive materialist who unironically writes, I love money, whose reactionary parents pay for college clothes and Mac makeup which is still not enough to keep you from begging and complaining and nearly joining the military, still pretending that you're more rebellious than what you label progressives, still seeking to please the teacher, and such the solipus that if the teacher doesn't play along, assumes it must have something to do with your perceived unattractiveness, pleasureless yet still promiscuous, the hedonist who hates liberals, the liberated modern woman who longs to be subservient, and find a wealthy man who will dominate the mental patient who insists there is no such thing as the subconscious, and the awkward loner who thinks individuals are an insidious construct of anti-collectivist capitalists. Property is robbery is the tripe slogan of someone who has only existed without responsibility, without any self-possessed honesty, with no depth backing the grandstanding. Margot, see what you find in Sri Lanka. Margot, see what you find in Cicero, and tell the Lamarcas that property is robbery. Tell Mima driving home from the factory that property is robbery. You delusional fool. Property is her way out of drudgery, her ticket past the line of indentured servitude. Without owning the building, you have people who are easily organized and cut off from access, the human experiment called the projects. But it's impossible for you to think beyond your anorexic context, and in your mind, disagreement means judgment, and surely there's nothing worse than that. In your mind, disagreement creates a scale ranging between misogynist and apologist, which is perfect since you also love to disparage feminists, insisting on women being more demure and stylish. And while I'm at it, isn't it always an ist, or at least an ism in your mind, everything neatly categorized, all thoughts and emotions compartmentalized? Margot, at the center of you is abuse. Everything you've ignored, informed by the suspicion that for you, life is impact and interment. Despite your outfit's ability to execute your whims and negate people who don't fit your trends, you have no freedom, and I doubt you can know release. I've heard you say, I hate art. Well, Margot, art dreads you. And I look forward to my suspicions being true, that you've become a sullen trophy wife, staving off boredom by blocking websites on the school council, banning books, or silently voting for abstinence-only sex education. Margot, you are the misinformed, manipulated manifestation of everything expressed by punk fashion shows and Vampire Weekend, and your own words you erase clear off the page, making yourself the voiceless, unable to raise the questions, too choked to face the stage, wasteful, self-induced inability to articulate your age. No more burlesque. Someone, waterfalls, forced sympathy, enervating congratulation, Botox breakfast, moon fruit, no more burlesque, an offer of silence, a measure of sanity, a reasonable sense of control, because it hasn't been earned, and the wires will burn and the lights will freeze. No more burlesque, moon flesh, playing harp, dancing a rewritten ballet, speaking with the sadhu, and sharing information, circle in circle in a city park. I walked by her once in a line. She was shocked to recognize me, and I was all too happy to dodge the people who I'd arrived with. The months before someone hits the record button. No more burlesque. The order will be determined because in a sense it already is determined. Like the milk in the glass and the honey on the shelf underneath, the fruit trees grows naturally without any help. If anything, it would be an interruption. Audrey, the amateur farmer, painting class teacher, and occasional mother, when the notion takes her and the weather suits her, changing names every other month, adopting identities from the television, domination, strutting across a runway, starvation, the poise to retain a pose, lactation, the unwinding knitting needles, the steel front door, the stream from the bus stop to the vault door, giggling, the technology, the ability, the enabling slipping sleep that punches the feathers and exclaims exhalations, the empathy, the stage of photographs and writings like an unintentional confessional or a catharsis without further ramifications or reasons, understanding by proxy, a community of torsos, hand claps and assumed nom de plumes, a convergence of compulsions that folks get very defensive about if you mention their distractions. The humidity got lost in the flurry to uproot the cacti and build rectangles of oak trees so Mrs. Meredith can have her begonia patch, sprinkle a little can of water and adjust her little straw hat, and adopt a section of wall, and elect a man to speak on her behalf, and pester the county board to get a nice sign to let the public know that these are her wishes, her designations, a living will making clear all her intentions. The wall behind her gate is sleek and strong and tall. The fence in front of that has a moat, and behind that an outdoor kill floor with a 30-foot fall. And the air just keeps flowing. It's imperceptible to trace. When someone walks up, knocks 3 times and says, "Hey, where's the bobcats on the roof? Don't they clog your roof?" Had a hell of a damn time getting rid of them. And your back gets soaked with sweat just from walking to the car in the parking lot, just from hiking the kid onto the swing at the park, and the stale breeze through the backyard. Wind chimes as a whistling. On another continent, in a retirement community, grandmother asks granddaughter what she thinks. "It's okay," is the response. Taking English at university, unwilling to get a proper job because any earned wages would get absorbed by bus fare, clothing updates, and hygiene upkeep. Yes, I am a thief of thoughts, and I cannot save a salary or be a parent or uphold any promises I made when I was only trying to leave the room unnoticed, a new apartment, walking to the fitness center, portfolio for the agency. She listens to a lecture about sexual repression, guys who refuse to perform certain acts, selfishness, stupidity. She fumes and thinks about her boorish ex-boyfriends. No excitement, no thrill, just expectations and obligations. Directions delay still, playing upon guilt, making her feel responsible, intimating that she's lucky, subtle self-containment and a status quo of self-consciousness, always doubting, never questioning. Even worse was the guy who treated each orgasm as an Olympic medal, a competition of one that he kept winning. He couldn't understand how condescending he was when he held her head and said she should attempt speaking without speaking, saying it without saying it, critiquing her interests as outre, keeping an instant signal while allowing her transmission a 5-second delay. You can paint in the corners, but seriously, don't touch the frame. She sends packages containing chocolate and tea, handwritten notes, and a photo of herself laughing. She edits the scene, disregards the magazine, reverses the reflection, and resumes exercising. 2 sisters, Morella and Anna, came from Bucharest, living in Stoke-on-Trent, looking to move to Maidstone, both annoyed at the neighbor above who keeps blaring Manel. "It's just not good music," Anna laughs to Manel. Anna leaves to work at the hotel. Morella wishes she had a Bichon to keep herself company when her sister is around. The only time they argue is about where to go after they've left England. Morella wants America, while Anna has her heart set on Australia. Though they each know they have time to create their future. Anna has 4 more courses before she becomes a teacher. They made a portrait together for their mother, a large abstract, cherry blossoms in the center. Gave it to her for her birthday. A turtle in the bottom corner and a small frog in a stunning shade of purple, a silver bridge and small clips of pictures taken from a ledge in Cheltenham. Your panic, how quaint. Your pretension, of course. Who else could correct an Israeli anarchist and tell them they should label themselves differently to more broadly appeal to American tourists? Your temper tantrums are no longer a surprise, and only you could spend New Year's Day looking at the skies to see if they might be falling. Certainly would make things easier, and that's one way you won't lose your pension. The same thing as being convinced exerting absolute control will keep anyone's attention. No more burlesque. Promises of gifts that haven't been sent yet. Details about plans that never get set. Figments of fancy best left undressed. No more burlesque. An archetype equals inactive symbols, flawed perception colored with arrogant concision, disguised as discerning eloquence, the eagle in flight, the documents in sight, the steps gleaming white, a push broom, a toothbrush, a chunk of ginger, the connection fizzing, the wheel spinning, the request is sitting on my desk. I was born in the Midwest, and I come from miners. On both sides, my family. My aunt saw Buddy Holly at the winter dance in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I'm willing to speak as I've always been, willing to hear a point of view and consider that the person at least might be an acquaintance. And I met with the ghosts of Joe Hill and Tom Paine, and I got asked, "Who are you trying to impress?" No one was my response. Do you ever ask that of others? Not yet, but it seems to make sense more than most questions. My father's father and mother told me something that left an indelible impression. If there's you and another person and there's a flag 200 feet in front of you, and it's understood that whoever gets the flag first wins, you've already won, no matter what. If you get the flag first, walk backwards, go around in a circle, or stand stock still. The reason is that person defines themselves by someone else's pre-existing standards. And if you don't define yourself at all, it makes no matter if they get the flag or not. They're still a slave to it, and you are free to be anywhere. What if this person doesn't define themselves by such things? That's when you found a friend. Anything else then? All things is all things? Yes. Don't forget there's no such thing as degrees of freedom. You are either free or you are a slave. And if you are a slave, you have to find out who you are a slave to and why. So, I vote in elections, obey traffic laws, show up on time, and use linear language. I don't feel the need to abandon it because it's more involved than numbers in a sequence where the structure meets the discipline, where the structure becomes a code to copy and apply to open areas and determined forms, where open areas become a discipline to reach a decision, to walk or not walk the trail where the discipline meets destiny, in the day-to-day, in the ones and zeros, in the world of shadows, where new patterns of light puncture and reconfigure the architecture, rebuilds the infrastructure. So, if a man puts a stage on a landmark and gets behind a microphone and says he's restoring order, you know that he's a liar. And if he says he's restoring honor, well, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that Martin Luther King Jr. didn't have corporate sponsors. And that man can't possibly mean honor for all, just a sect, a handful of investors, and a network of supporters and constituents, a series of groups with acronyms for names, a confluence of systems that hopes to cover enough for you to find something to embrace about it. And I found them last night, barking directives, spray painting the snow with enormous orange-pink letters, and I waited until they left, and I went out there with a shovel and cleared the way, swept off the slush, chopped the ice, and made a path. And by the next morning their message had melted into a soggy mess, and my neighbors had cleared a walkway as well, and we spoke about the town charter, the aqueducts, and the phone number for a good roofer, and then my wife and I went to the market to buy food for dinner. There were no wings on the streets, no distractions, just 3 teenagers, 1 boy, 2 girls standing in front of the library, starting to sing. I looked at their body language and clothes, and I tapped my wife's elbow and said, that kind of reminds me of me when I was that old. Well, good luck to them. We waved, she started smiling, and we made up a new song of our own. Icicle stream, the white signal channeling the clock measurements, out in chalk on bricks, the stencil fit the wall, time signature increments, the birds, the fish, the deer pausing at the outer lip of the forest to avoid traffic. A dozen women walk together forwards and sideways, holding their keys, pens, and parking passes. They stand at the information centers and read the small typeface before proceeding. The railway, the conductor makes a joke, collects a ticket, dispenses change. The train streaks by the storefront and its new window display. The passenger turns abruptly to read what it has to say. In the eyebrow arch, the headmaster trickery, the tacit complicity, which leaks across silently. There is a bite mark that is ours. We were awake when it was happening. We excel at remembering. Evade the hunt. Confound and confuse them. Expose and release them. Free them. Evade the hunt. They did everything they could think of. Affixed you with a label. Forced what isn't legal. Evade the hunt. When there's no rules, it's obvious who's responsible. There are no sides and there are no armies. This argument is an illusion, a pantomime, a presentation. Your breath is your breath. Your mind is your mind. Your life is your life, a circle wave. Your fingers and the flowers in a bowl of water spin around and reflect in the mirror, which sends back the light. And your eyes are your eyes, and your sight is your sight. There are no sides in life. In life. That's pretty fucking good. Now we're gonna take a hard left. I'm just gonna keep going for a little bit longer, so hope y'all don't mind. Hope we're As a old dirty bastard once said, "Are you taping, baby? Baby, are you taping?" All right. This is called Physical Copies. He detached himself years ago, spent every night this week with his face in his phone, or making excuses why he cannot come home. What is he looking at for so many hours? Where does he go? What is it that captivates him so? You respect his privacy, but you also have the right to know. Maybe he only wants the girlfriend experience instead of the reality. Perhaps he can only cope with false intimacy, or maybe it just took this long to discover that his natural disposition could easily be described as unpleasantly empty. Maybe in his mind, he's only got 8 months to live. Maybe he's just too afraid to be embarrassed, or maybe he only cares about his ease of convenience. You figure that he can't even remember the memories that you treasure. You catch him glancing at you and wonder if he's recalling something he once heard Mr. Blackwell say, quote, "The more hardware, the less personality," unquote. What does he spend his money on? All you know is that he never has enough, and he doesn't buy the things that he used to show interest in, and he certainly hasn't gotten you a gift in months. He doesn't seem to respond to your new clothes, makeup, or perfume. And then there's the most disconcerting fact, when you realize that even the implants won't bring him back. I was originally going, whenever I did any of these readings, I was going to do Blue Soaked Scepter and Diamond Mine from my book, Female Perspective. But Blue Soaked Scepter is pretty long, and we're now an hour deep. So I will read that next time. But I will, however, do one piece from the Female Perspective, given largely because I just like that one so much. This is called Flowers at the Foot of the Cave. Swinging light bulb above a cracked basement window, a painting depicting the creation of creation, and a makeshift bed. I made up a new name for you that I'll only keep in my head. My head. Look at the jewel resting in the bottom of the wooden cup, or the stack of handwritten sheets explaining the steps of the ritual in rich, deep red, and the names of everyone there exist in my head. Charcoal renderings of saints ripped from a magazine and pinned to the door, dented bits of metal shaped to make a mosaic and pushed into the floor. 1/4-inch thick spray-painted silver ribbons, looped like ringlets in the air, and floating stray white veins from a feather landing on your hair. Here I sit half childish, with freshly washed clothes strewn over a chair. A tray with orange peels, melon rinds, and empty glasses rests balanced on the table's edge while I'm reading a map leading to a room more colorful than the womb, where I can overhear things other than gurgling and organs rushing. But still, this will always be in its infancy, because love is where Genesis greets infinity. And for proof, you can look in my eyes, even though I won't confirm or deny how much of this is true. But I trust that it will get worked out by you. I was going to read another really long one called Apples, but again, we're already pretty deep. So I'll read a shorter one from Radar Grain that I'm very fond of. That I've never read this one. This is called Everyone. Too late in the evening, 7:45. That man around the corner lost his ring in a fight. Here comes St. Thomas walking through the door, found himself an auction, and bought everything on the floor. I don't wake up too early, I don't cut my face, I don't call any strangers, and I don't look for their graves. Everyone gets half of what they want, and half of what they don't, half of what they couldn't, and half of what they won't. Pork chops in the kitchen, above the sink there's a light, no milk on the table for the blink of an eye. Up the road is a driveway where they come out paid, they come out smiling, dead cats in their way. Everyone gets half of what they want, and half of what they don't, half of what they couldn't, and half of what they won't. Next time from that book, I will read People and Animals, because I'm very proud of that one, or of that book, I should say. You know what? I was going to read Room Service, and I will, because I had a hilarious story. I always say I don't look at comments, but I actually saw a fan. Oh, I have old dirty bastard quotes for days. Remember when they asked him, "What are you going to do for the community?" And he said, "Me, nothing." And then the other one was, and then they said, when he renamed himself Big Baby Jesus, and they said, "What are you going to do now that you're Jesus?" And his answer was, "Look for more women to put babies into." I will say this though, it's easy to tell stories about Old Dirty and all that, you know. But he was a tremendous artist, and that tends to get overlooked. He was absolutely incredible. So I feel like I don't want to, sound like I'm poking fun or anything like that, because I liked him very much. This is called Room Service. This is from my book Sunrise on the Cana Islands, and I have read this. Truly, it's kind of fascinating as a sort of little sociological experiment. I have read this to a room full of people where the median age was maybe like 25, and it was like angry indie people, seething, angry, seething liberals. And I have also read this to rooms full of people where the median age is like 75, and it's gotten a really good response in both. And one of the angry leftist people, wasn't trying to make a political point when I wrote this, but there was an angry leftist person who was trying to read a political point into everything. And sort of forest for the trees, he comes up to me after this one. He singled this out, and he goes, "That was great. It's about time we express some working class anger, you know." And I was like, "Sure, yeah, no problem with expressing working class anger." But I was like, "Did you miss the part though that everyone in this is an asshole?" Because that was like completely just ignored that. Anyway, this is called Room Service. They arrive every year this time. They put swimsuits on. They tell jokes and get the punchlines wrong. We set up the continental breakfast and watch the elevators come down. Before the wake-up calls, we're cleaning the halls. The tables are heavy. We vacuum the lobby. The rest of the morning, we're washing silverware and folding towels. I have to work a double tonight. I'm tired, but I don't mind. At least I'll get some overtime, but by 9 it seems like this shift will go on forever, because it feels like I'm living in a non-stop dream. The lights are always on. I can't sleep or run away because I'll get in trouble. I can't believe they stiffed me on a tip. I carried their luggage to the street. This is real, so bite my lip and don't ever look back. I get so frustrated when they ask me to repeat things because of my accent, and then say it's so cute the way you speak, and I have to listen to some woman complain about the thread count of the sheets. I don't want to work tonight, but I really don't have a choice. I have to make what I can now because I won't be young forever, because it feels like I'm living in a non-stop dream. The lights are always on. I can't sleep or run away because I'll get in trouble. I can't believe they forgot to fill the pool with chlorine. Second time this week. Not my job, but they still complain to me. This is real, so I bite my lip and smile politely as I can. Yes, I understand, ma'am. My heart really gets racing when their kids throw things. I can't wait to go home tonight, but it'll be okay, because it's either this or the Spoon Factory, and I really can't wait to go home tonight. And if that sounds familiar, that was in fact based, a lot of that book. I just took the top, whatever year that was, 2011. I just took whatever the top pop songs were, and I phonetically rewrote them. So that is based on Katy Perry's Teenage Dream. So, this is one I definitely have never read. And in the book, parts of it are backwards. So I actually prepared. Uh, I actually prepared um, forward-facing. Um, Jesus, maybe I won't be reading this one then. Jesus Christ. Hmm. I'm having weird technical problems. Hmm. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. But yeah, parts of this are backwards, so um, I needed to have it be forwards. So if I'm looking up and then down, that explains why. So, but this is called White Apple, and it's in 4 parts. So the first is called White Evening, White Morning. The second is called Privilege. The third is Transhumanism Blues. And the fourth is Princess Fence. So away we go. You become naked with ivory skin, face like an alabaster wedding ring. Grow and live in a green-tinted glass tower with marble accents. You know the leftover unhealed scars of the ancients. You can taste the dead Romans in the ground when you eat the cloves of garlic. Cold fingers in a clean line of events, little pencil marks leaving a rumor under the map. Lotus position on the floor, side of your head laying in ice water. Fresh sage on the bell and in your pocket, a jade pendant of a lantern, match earrings, a lone cigarette, a farthing and a sixpence, a plan to go to the States but not sure what dimes and nickels are worth yet, or where to find Wyoming on a map. But that's a question at best for the solicitor, or a prayer to the lace maker. You have the relics. Word came from the pontiff, an aged tooth now black as onyx. You become naked with ivory skin, face like an alabaster wedding ring, in a penthouse apartment filled with ferns, studying a blue flame, or the serrated edge of the ancients who built the park you gaze out at. Boys and girls climbing a ladder, preparing a crown that they will wear if they choose to, they can share, looking at the Khyber Pass, buying a cart with supplies to last, heat production, carving a chair before the mold hardens, pressing stones into the floor of the garden, removing spikes from the ocean, twin conversations without a sound, ripple effect, the rings spread over the gown, their bodies, the sun and stars barely touching, beginning of the day, reflection eyes, every moment in exchange of an inspired surprise, boys and girls. My front door, there was a knock, didn't open up even a tiny crack. I said, go away from here and never come back, but that was an illusion. I know a servant in her master's house. She walks around, her head tilted up in arousal and awe. She never plans to come out. She's quiet like a nail in the wall, slides her face down the granite on the fireplace to calm herself after roaming the limestone banquet hall. She is a far greater virtue than those she sold her name to. She never stops speaking in an inaudible hum, turns the ringer off on the phone. She said to me that I could be a great actuary. I said, why? And she replied, well, in your soul and out of their cells, people can't save themselves. We've got to change the subject, just for a second. The ghosts are gone, and there is only life to live. Celeste, picking out notes. Your voice enters before leaping the octave up. I never need to find you. I see you everywhere I look. Every flower petal, every blade of grass is another detail of your face, your flesh. You sit at the piano and play simple chords ascending, and as the sustain fades, the tones are slightly bent of each note you've picked is one of the elements. You're lighting up this room without even realizing it. You write down that I is another, your electricity. You make me. She asked her, what do you think of the shower? She said it's beautiful, warm, warm. And she could drink each drop, but she shouldn't say anything is beautiful because she doesn't know you. She's never seen you, not even a picture. It's true. You make me. It'll take 7 minutes to tell you about how sometimes I feel like a vampire. I take your feelings, your moments, and feel them deeper than you did. Make you think that you're insincere, but is that so bad? I don't know. You make me. I run. You've always been free. You're so smart, smarter than I am. Maybe that's what I believe because I've never seen you stop and think. It simply is, forwards, and you can be in reverse. I think your mind is maybe the most beautiful thing, but then your eyes. I rewrite this list all the time. Heaven's choir is harmonizing for you right now. Can you hear them? Can you hear the reverberations? Can you feel them gently hold your body? Today you're wearing green, yesterday blue and white stripes. But what I've seen is just never good enough. You're so good and so polite. I don't want you to just be bad. I want you to confuse yourself. I want you to see a spider for an hour. I want you to move your fingers backwards. I never want you to be corrupt. And you got a man. Your man is standing tall in quicksand. Your man can't go where I go. Your man will never know what I know. What are they singing about? Only in 30,000 seconds one could ever try and understand it, and further words fail me. I just want to watch them from the window and think about falling rain. Rest my head and see your grace. I'll be back to you in just a moment. I have to change the subject for a second. The cloud drizzled down today, only followed by the most incredible vacuum of quiet, a right shock of silence, and up from that, after about a paused minute, was the first truly joyful noise we've heard in a long while. To us alive on earth, a celeste plucking out notes. Warm, warm, let's kiss. You make me. This is from God Bless the Guests at the Banquet. There was originally, unfortunately, I was going to do a set of readings in 2015. I hadn't done readings for a really long time. And I had a whole set of material based around this piece. It's called Heaven's Hinterlands, and I never got round to doing it. Long, boring story, but at some point I hope to make like maybe a record or something out of it. So that would be cool. Anyway, God bless all of you for hanging in there. This is all pretty remarkable. So, and we're running really long. So this is called Healing. Silent, low light night, staring down the hall. The tension hasn't lessened from the hell of the day, and I keep thinking things can't continue this way. She's in bed, been pretending to sleep for hours. I don't know what she's concealing because we haven't been speaking, and I'm out of ways to guess what tomorrow might bring. My mind against my heart. I feel them tear each other apart. I need healing to calm this anxiety inside of me. Constantly waking up before dawn, looking for the ghost, circles in the carpet, wondering when I'm alone or when I'll hear the voice. For months I've been locked and closed, looking for consolation. I need healing to stop my isolation. I need healing to change my feelings. I need healing for me to trust and give. I need healing to find strength and change how I live. My mind against my heart, I can feel them tear each other apart. I need healing to stop this uncertainty inside of me. I need healing to change my feelings. All right. Trying to decide how much more to do. I can either do 2 or I can do 1. It's just that the 1 is really long as well. I don't want to do 2 long ones, but I have an idea. Or no, I will do 2 from Citizenship, and that will be that. All right, this is It's called the Vatican Vaults. Shelves lined with caskets, ripe fruit piled in baskets. Sugar cubes and teacups rattle as saucers are dragged across tablecloths. Outside, a crowd sits murmuring. A harmonium coughs discordantly off the spokes of a bicycle wheel, and snake skin is carefully wrapped around palms. Two men each wear a veil, one off mauve, the other pink lady red. Gravel sits at the bottom of stained glass vials, and mink pelts are smoothed out over tiles. Three elderly spinsters raise their voices in praise, their weathered hands shaking at the sky, gold medals tied around their waists, reflect the sun directly into children's eyes. Four blind beggars fool the crowd into believing they're brothers who compete by tying knots in rope faster than any comers, the act only ending at dusk when they split their spoils. Stars roll around the moon, back and forth from end to end. Clouds erase them away when each new day begins. Actually, fuck that. We'll also do Fingerhouse. We'll just skip the beginning and ending of it, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. Where should I go? Empty and without suggestion, dry bathtub, antiseptic self, turquoise pottery carefully washed, not included in collection debates, and can catalog itself. The black and white television crackling on the last analog signal, transmitting drip brush pixelation to friends who have never met the before dawn, with unbent antennas and tinfoil knobs. No larger connection and no network without notice or critical thought, pure broadcast. Where should I go? To a Crickett's Lake where Mona Lisa and George Washington's faces urgently run by on filmy soap transfers until they burst into digital diagonal scribbles that shock sleeping bluebirds and hunting robins, where austere diagrams of skeletons are traced onto colored chalk onto trees and oil sticks litter the walkways, where oysters recover jewelry fallen overboard and forgotten, where flashlights find glimpses into windows and fluoride is poured into jugs of cola. Where should I go? With a shopping bag full of batteries, returning a stolen bike to its parent company, walking in between unclean delivery trucks in need of repair while raw-toned steel whistle air floats on wisps of strawberry hair and accelerated voices in nonsensical 10-second annoyances, a magician perfecting an illusion which ends with them curling up and sliding down a tree, then pretending to be asleep while assessing what the crowd seems to think. Then a throne is carried on, seating a man in a parchment crown and wrapped in beach towels. Where should I go? Into a kitchen with aluminum knives and nurses in white lab coats and blue rubber gloves, rolls of tissue paper and unfolded t-shirts, and personalized engraved nameplates. Where should I go? Knees to the chest, laying on the cool ground. Scissors, heels pressed together, toes towards the sun, and back to the cool ground. We're in the home stretch. We're rounding third. It's very exciting. I'm kind of thinking we'll just go for the full 90 minutes then, since we've already gone this far. And my wife is wondering, where the hell is he? No. She's fine. All right. This is called Neil and Bobby Sakatumi. And you know what? We'll bring everybody out. Oh my God. There we go. I greet the puppies with a smile and attempt to comb my hair for a while. I idle my time on a red velour sofa. It's not mauve, it's not puce, it doesn't look anything like you. It's ugly, it's red, it's got plastic cushions. I spilled my apple juice on that sofa. Or is it a love seat? Or is it a futon? It might be a bidet for all I can see. But whatever the hell it is, I don't want to sleep on it or eat your chocolate cake anywhere near it. I don't even want to go in your house because your dog humps my leg and your boyfriend picks my teeth and your dad chews my eyelash and there's not 1 inch of floor space clean enough to lick. You turn my water brown. You're seeing how Granddad dresses like a clown. He's got a big red nose that's not nearly as revolting as that sofa. So, by the way, I'm not coming over tonight. So quit following me down the hall and hitting on me in the toilet stall. Because any house with that much Elvis on velvet won't find me on their swing or their Norman Rockwell painting. But maybe I will drop by, dressed in armor and a satin hat with some flowers for the maid and cocktails for the cat that never got me in the sack and a muzzle for that dog. And I'll cut out your nose hair and put it on your pancakes and yell, "Supper is served," so the butler can take a night off and throw some darts at Granddad. And for dessert, I will serve pigs in a blanket, garnished with spaghetti Suzette and some lighter fluid and a lock of your mom's pubic hair to torch that fucking stuff to the ground, because it ain't Art Deco no matter how hard you try, and the vinyl siding may go up in flames, and it really ain't Little Pink House after all. Now is it, Toots? Well, it's easy for your mom to spend Friday. Oh, fuck, we'll start over. It's easy for your mom to spend Friday night trying to lecture the TV while half asleep, continuously saying, "Let it all breathe," when she's not the one out there braving the wind trying to walk across that wing with just a 4-foot stick of balsa wood. Oh my fucking God, seriously? God damn. We're starting over again. Yeah, that's right. It's easy for your mom to spend Friday trying to lecture the TV while half asleep, continuously saying "let it all breathe" when she's not the one out there braving the wind, trying to walk across that wing with just a 4-foot stick of balsa wood to help keep her balance. The Tsar's personal physician put the head of surgery in bed, called his staff around and explained this could be the end, but he's really not certain because he's just been too depressed at the prospect. At least that's what you thought, he said, but you were quite distracted by the kissing couple on the observation deck. And you got yelled at for sleeping during a meeting by the head of marketing, but you didn't feel any guilt as you explained that you'd been sin-free since the night before. And the head of marketing agreed and closed the door and put his hands on your shoulders to talk about opportunities for advancement. And the private still cannot figure out how to break ranks and how to help your mom fill out a loan application or get a new sticker for her license plates. And the two of you prepare for their weekend leave by getting hair extensions and hitchhiking back to the hospital. You've been reading diaries, you've been reading autobiographies, you've been writing long treatises out on graph paper, you've been condescending to your enemies, you've been giving easy answers that argue that there are no easy answers, you've been running forensics on untabulated statistics, you've been staring at a man buzzsawing down a tree thinking anyone but me. You've been miming in a marching band, not playing a single note all season. You've been looking at the apple in your hand, hoping to know how you'll find another, and you've stolen mail from your mother. You've been looking at a fence thinking enough of this. You've been back to the hospital after hours in the maternity ward laying newly minted silver rectangles on newborns' chests. You've been counseling dry drunks. You're nearer to sovereignty and whoever picks apples for free. You've been painting large unfinished arcs on your foyer walls while in expensive new clothes. You've been nearer to sovereignty and whoever spreads apple seeds for free. You've been barefoot while feeding skunks. You've been seeing your reflection in cardboard. Let it all breathe is the reminder that you whisper to yourself when you're out there walking across the wing, watching Flotsam from Beechcraft Model 18s rotate overhead, amazed how machinery so heavy can defy gravity. Let it all breathe is the reminder that you whisper to yourself when you're out walking across that wing, watching jettison pollution floating in the Indian Ocean in utter disbelief how the laws of nature can be defied so carelessly. Are you ready? You're a wing walker. You're a wing walker! Closer to sovereignty, closer to picking apples for free, closer to crashing the fence, closer to opening books. You're a wing walker trying to make a future full of stars and feeling some bite marks. You're a wing walker closer to sovereignty, closer to spreading apple seeds for free, closer to swimming naked, closer to learning languages. You're a wing walker. You're a wing walker trying to make a future full of stars, wishing you weren't feeling so far, but they found me realistically resembling myself, fully alive in a different year. Questions were drawn to determine how I appeared there. I explained I went to sleep because I couldn't function being constantly awake. Theta waves turning back on themselves, spindle waves with no chance to crest, and slow waves never coming close to arriving. A wing walker craves immunity to maintain sovereignty, feeds on concentration to maintain sovereignty, brushes memories to maintain sovereignty. Theta waves are just the start. Spindle waves, can you see them? Slow waves safely deposit you back on the shore. A wing walker needs clear vision and to be free of poison. You have to know where to turn on the lights before you go to sleep. And go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go home and go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go home and go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go home and go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go home and go to sleep. Thank you. And let's hear from our friends one more time, huh? We can go out classy and super pro.